which was known as the Investor Connect event, hosted 2025, hosted by the Higher Education Commission, and a lot of foreign investors came in to invest in our digital startups. Well, one of the investors we were lucky is over here with us inside the studios. She happens to be Miss Pegah Gol. Hello, assalamu alaikum. Good morning. How are you feeling today?
अस्सलाम वालेकुम, मेरा नाम पेगा गोल है और मुझे बहुत खुशी है कि मैं पाकिस्तान आई हूँ। पाकिस्तान और पाकिस्तान के लोग बहुत प्यारे और मेहमान नवाज है।
Thank you so much,
for
joining us. Wonderful to have you. For everybody, ladies and gentlemen, Pegah Gol happens to be an author, and that too, she has been an all-time bestseller for 8 times as well. She has been she is an angel investor in UAE, based out of UAE, and not just that, she has actually generated $3 million for startups as well. And she was here to actually hear the pitches of our young budding startups as well. So let's get started with that. First things first, why would you be over here in Pakistan? Do you think that our digital startup ecosystem is so ripe now that all the foreign investors will be coming following you?
Absolutely. First of all, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me. And I know about the Pakistan startups ecosystem for quite some times, but I never been to Pakistan. But being here has just completely changed my perspective. It's way better than what I expected, and I want to
You're better than it might come across bitter, but better than
yeah, way better.
Yeah,
I mean,
it
was already good. I could see lots of potential, as also His Excellency earlier mentioned that there are lots of Pakistani startups companies that they come to UAE and they exit, and we see lots of examples there. But coming here, and thank you so much from HEC that a actually Higher Education Commission.
Exactly. So there are only 3 basic questions which we would want you to shed light on. Number 1, what makes our digital ecosystem, fruitful or ripe for investors to come in? Number 1. Number 2, if there are any other investors, what do they need to look for to keep their investment safe? Number 3, what should be the exit strategy?
Okay. So for the number 1, what was the question?
Yeah, so the number 1 was, what makes our digital ecosystem ripe for foreign investors?
Okay, there's so many pros that Pakistani startups they have. One of them is the costs.
Okay.
In comparison to the other, Western companies, the Pakistani ecosystem is showing 70% less. This is one thing. The second thing, you are in the area of, Middle East, and the Middle East is totally different. For many, Western companies, startups, entering the Middle East market is so difficult, and the understanding the culture, people actually, making decisions mostly with the heart.
Yeah.
Right. And this is something that I experienced in Dubai after 17 years. I know not only Dubai, in GCC and in the whole, Middle East. So this is something that definitely it's add value as well. Okay. And except that, I can see that they are, I met with lots of Pakistani startups during the event, face to face. So many, there are so many so much advanced than the others, that I met.
Okay.
Maybe the only thing they need to work on it is their confidence.
Okay.
When they ask for, the capital, they ask for very little because maybe they don't see the broader perspective.
Okay.
They don't see themselves that they can actually go global.
But Ms. Pegah, this also brings us to this very vital question. So starting a startup is a very daunting task, right? And obviously securing the seed funding is something that is very crucial to starting a startup. But what if, that seed funding is not there, and for the reasons that are beyond your control, how to navigate that very uncharted waters in the first place?
This is a problem with all the startups. It's not only specific for Pakistan ecosystem. However, it's really important that the founders working on their actual branding as well. This is something I'm helping lots of the startups that I have in my portfolio to work on that, because at that stage people normally want to know who are the founders.
Yeah.
And if they are hidden, no one knows about them, and they don't really portray their background, their educations, and if they don't come across as confident, no one can, trust them.
Obviously, and there was a very Starch report which mentioned that in the first half of 2024, Pakistan's seed funding has dropped by 92%, and that's a very, very staggering number, right? So is it a symptom of a broader global trends, or it is a localized phenomena? And how do you think the initiation of the conference, which Azad mentioned, the initiative of the HEC, is essential in spawning and fostering such sort of conversations about the seed funding and the venture capitalism?
Yes, I mean, in general, the decrease in 2024, it's kind of global, but not 90%. You know, so it's definitely there is a local element on that as well,
right.
And that local element is something that it might be that before, because they see lots of failure, and they see like, or they didn't witness the actual growth. You know, so that's one of the reasons. And regarding HEC or any other government body that they are actually fostering startup ecosystem, they are doing phenomenal job, honestly, and like bringing people here, just it gives me much more confidence that actually I invest in startups.
Exactly,
here.
and you know, we certainly would want you to be an example for people out there as well, you know, because you're here, and I would want, in fact, urge Pakistanis to kind of look for, you know, such digital startups. Because other than investing in property and cars and whatnot, I think that'll be a great thing to do. But, you know, at this point of time, because you happen to be an angel investor, right?
Yes.
You know, and I think that your role is right at the beginning of it, you know, where Haja actually pointed out towards seed funding. Where do you see our digital ecosystem? Do you think that we really need to see for venture capitalists, or do you think that it's more of, you know, how we need to get angel investors involved, you know, so that we can actually be at a point to look for VCs?
Yes, you actually mentioned really good example about the
You always do,
paradigm
right?
shift, about the paradigm shift from the like classic investments, traditional ones, and to go to, you know, more of a like startups. And the capital is not as big as like starting a restaurant or investing in properties. They can do that with like with a fraction of that cost for few startups at the earliest stage. Okay, that's something I think it's a educational things needs to happen by you know, places like, for example, HEC. Except that bringing the foreign investors, also educating the local investors as well. So
and we have really seen, you know, how, you know, within your own profile, you've been mentoring and coaching C-level executives, entrepreneurs, and startup founders.
Yes.
Now, where you spoke that, you know, that we would certainly want our, you know, startup leads to be more confident. Now, imagine that if their business has not done so well so far, you know, certainly it's hard to get to that point of confidence. So what will be your, you know, what are you going to say to those startup leads that, hey, you know what, you got to believe in yourself, or probably you should know your worth or value? How can they do that?
Yeah, exactly. Their confidence. I mean, unless you have the burning desire, nothing happen. I mean, it's happened all like in all life situations. You need to believe in what you're offering. Most of my investments happen when I see the belief in the person who's doing the presentation. Even if I see little bit of a fear, I will be like, do more due diligence to find out if that works or not. But when I see they are like, and most of the, and this is an example, because most of the successful startups that they become unicorn started with people that believe it. And although they started in a room that it was nothing there, but they felt that this is going to be successful. And that belief, it's a contagious thing. People feel that, you know. So if I speak on the phone with someone and I'm smiling, the other person will not see my smile, but would feel it, you know. So those are the things that if you believe it in your heart, the person in front of you will believe in you as well. You know, so
and I'm pretty sure that it must take more than, I mean, believing and showing the investors that, you know, how much you are serious in implementing your idea or excited about your idea. But now let's steer the conversation towards the artificial intelligence. And when we talk about Pakistan, it's a very fertile breeding ground for the digital digital ecosystems, because we see TikToks flourishing here. There are lots of local voices from the rural areas, you know, who are making their presence felt. That was not the case previously, right?
Yes.
So how can we make sure that this tech startup, which seems to be very urban sort of a thing, can also seep into those areas, to those fringes or peripheries, which might not be a very like a hot breeding ground
And
for that.
alleviate them.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Yeah, and alleviate them.
Yes. If I got your question right, you're asking how this Pakistani startups in AI can actually expand in the
To the fringes, you know,
Okay.
to the villages, or I mean the areas which are not
So
the
that
core
people
of
can have sustainable businesses even in the rural areas, even in the villages. People from the villages can be a part of the startup ecosystem
Absolutely.
and bring a lot of prosperity to their region.
And especially because there's a very vibrant internet there, and they have making their presence there.
Absolutely.
TikTok.
Like for many startups, if they want to go global, they need to have the work on their local presence,
Yeah.
and they have like it's a platform ready for them.
They might not know English, right? So how can they cross this barrier? But they have wonderful ideas. So how can they pitch there?
Who is
I mean, I'm talking about the villagers, the poor people, you know, who are vibrant in their idea execution, but the language might be a
Yeah, so
barrier.
that the startups are not only restricted to the urban centers.
Right,
Yes.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, right now the language is no more barrier with
Yep.
the whole you know, AI improvement and the chat GPT and everything. So many excuses in the past is not going to be valid nowadays. So they can actually use the you know, AI to do the translation. So many things happen through the AI that you know, it makes everyone's job so much easier. Like I was in Vienna earlier for actually I got 2 startups that I'm fostering them there, and I went to the I want to buy some medicines, like some supplements. I just used I took a picture, sent it to ChatGPT, started to telling me how good it is, what is the ingredients, and even the reviews. So language is not a barrier anymore.
Exactly. So, which is why very quickly towards the end, what do you think that should be the exit strategy for any startup? You know, once they have matured, how do you think that they can sell it off for $1 billion or worth of $2 billion, $500 billion? You know, I wish them all the luck. So please go ahead.
From the perspective of someone from the UAE, that I've seen lots of startups in that ecosystem, and not only UAE, also GCC, you know, Saudis, Qatar, and all those countries as well. Pakistani startups, they can use GCC as a next level to go global, and that's something that they have to have it in their mind at the very beginning to before going, you know, global, because it's still close to them in terms of the you know, in terms of the distance, and in terms of culture, it's Islamic culture, it's a Middle Eastern culture, lots of things that it's not matched in the West. But when they get actually out of Pakistan and they start to expand in the GCC, then the next level is going global. And
Exactly. So thank you so much, Ms.
Thank you
Pegah,
so
for being
much.
with
Thanks
us.
for
Lovely
having
to
me.
be in
Thank you so
conversation
much.
with you,
Thank
and we
you so
hope
much.
that you're going to become angel investor for our digital startups and the tech startup over here as well.